Cool. Thanks everybody for coming to our 44th SIP goals. Yeah, today is the 12th of May, and today we're just gonna keep it a bit casual and open, and just gonna be an open floor discussion. And we'll arrange other topics in the coming weeks. Yeah, and next week, I believe is a Miami event, so we're gonna take a Friday off and let everybody get on with their stuff. So yeah, just to let everybody know, the SIP goal is for anybody who is all related to any communication about SIPs, and the SIP is essentially just a doc that sort of specifies exactly what the intent of the changes or new features, upgrade, such as Stacks 2.1 was actually SIP 15. So you can find all the intended changes in the doc. It can be governance related too. So if you have any ideas how to improve the SIP process, that can be part of the SIP doc too. So yeah, and here we take a collaborative approach, informative approach. If you have any SIP, you can come advertise or advocate for your SIP. You can come here and get the feedback from different technical guys or governance guys. So I think it's a very good forum for anybody to join permissionlessly. And last week was a good example of the wallet team who has a new multi-sig wallet idea, whether done natively or more the smart contract approach. Come here asking questions, get feedback, and helps to move that proposal on. So I think, yeah, it has a value having this kind of open forum. So just to let everybody know what sort of SIP ideas are roughly on the table, we do have some early sort of conversations going on and soon to become a SIP draft, like important ones like Bitcoin MEV. We do have things that can help SBTC as well by listing in different trades and stuff like that. We also do have the newcomers proposing multi-sig, and that can also be part of the SIPs. But I think some part they want consensus change. So we did advise them yesterday on the SIP editors call that if you want consensus changing stuff, it's not going to be activated anytime soon. So they probably have to do some workaround using non-consensus breaking workarounds, and then relaunch once if they get support for consensus breaking changes into Nakamoto release or other ones. But anyways, I think BNS also having some conversation on the forum. Haven't kept up with those. Seems a very active discussion going on. Yeah, so we do have a lot of sort of early ideas. And some of the late ideas, just want to make sure everybody is aware, like SIP 22 and 23, those are basically in activation in progress. They've all been approved by the steering committee and the CAPs and the SIP editors. Everybody's reviewed them. And those are sort of the emergent SIPs that don't require public voting because people agree to use SIP 11, which is a catastrophic SIP, so to fix the bugs per se. There is one new one. Sorry, just before I touch on the new one, and maybe Jay Wiley can go a little bit deeper about the new one. But in terms of SIP 22, the second part of the hard fork to turn on the POX 3 is having a little bit, the devs need more time and more thorough testing. And if you go to Stacks Forum, which is a great place, I really highly recommend everybody to go to Stacks Forum for latest conversations or announcements. Yes, so POC 3 require at least extra time for testing. Therefore, initially it was always going to be thought like it might be one cycle, the best sort of case scenario, but it might require 2 cycles, having being in proof of burn, i.e. no rewards for the users no Bitcoin reward. So that's what's happening now, and the developers are working actively every day to try and get the POP3 tested and live. Yeah, so that's all I can say on this specific one. I don't know if anybody got anything else to add about this.
Yes, I was waiting until the end, but I will add it now since it was brought up. I'm actually working on a second addendum to SIP 22 to address the new realities of the ratified SIP is targeting cycle 59 with a block height of I don't have it in front of me, but we're changing it to cycle 60. So I was doing some math this morning on the target activation height. So I'll have a PR for that later today.
And I guess that would just make a request to change the block height in SIP 22.
Not necessarily. So as I did before, I noticed there was a mistake in the SIP with the peer network ID. So rather than changing the accepted SIP, I just added an addendum to it that basically says, hey, later on in this text, it'll say this. This is the actual value that it should be.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, hopefully cycle 60.
Yeah,
right?
and I was going through that a little deeper. In theory, we could have pushed for cycle 59, but a lot of us felt very strongly that we'd rather take the extra time and test it very thoroughly, make sure everything's working as expected. And because of the time window of when cycle 59 is activating, which is pretty soon, we didn't feel we had enough time to do it. So a lot of us pushed that back, and that necessitates the change here to SIP 22, because now we're targeting cycle 60, which is, I want to say roughly 14 days from now, give or take. Still doing the math on that one, but it gives us a lot more time to test and ensure that the release is solid.
And just for those, because I know I'm in those meetings, so I know roughly how it's going. Just for those who aren't in those meetings, could you just share like a bit of status, like whether things are looking good on track, or do you think it could like need a further one more cycle to sort it out?
Not likely. At this point, the code for POX3 is done. We're just going to test all the functions as much as we can over the next several days. We've got a private testnet up and running. I say private because it's just testnet, but it's not connected to the current testnet that people use. So it's a little modified. We have very short stacking cycles on there. I think it's like 100 blocks maybe for a full cycle. So we can test these changes that are going into POX3 much faster than on the current testnet. So we're using that as kind of like a canary. And then the code will be going into the public testnet either today or sometime very soon.
Awesome.
That sounds amazing. I had a question on timing as well. I kind of brought it up in the last blockchain meeting too. Like when we're thinking about when this will be deployed, like POX3 will actually be available. Following that will be like stacking pool deployments, other protocol deployments. Like I know Citicoins is targeting one. Do we have any idea what kind of window that stackers will have to participate in the next cycle?
I don't have a time frame, but I can say we're looking at 300 blocks prior to the start of the next cycle. And that can be changed, absolutely. In the SIP, it's proposed 200 blocks, so we added 100 blocks to that activation window.
And would that be roughly 2 days for all Stacks users and then any contract deployments and everything else?
I'd have to, yeah, I can't say 2 days.
Yeah, I know it's determined on block time, but I'm just assuming that 150 blocks is usually about a day, maybe sometimes 16 hours. So, okay. Is there, I'm wondering if there's a world where, we leave a few days for all those transactions to go through. Because I'm just wondering on the
Mhm.
mempool and processing side, how many things are going to kick off with the result of POX3 being live?
That's a good point.
So just something, yeah, something we might want to think about before we finalize the block height. But I haven't found an appropriate time frame, because definitely I think the additional focus on testing and then the time to get this out in stages is going to be really helpful as well. But might be something we think about. Oh, and
Yeah,
then
so
I saw a comment from Bryce too.
yeah, exactly. So what I'd say there is, it's not set in stone. This is just the values that we discussed and came up with. If you feel strongly that we need to have it, like, let's say 500 blocks before the start of cycle 60, we can absolutely do that. As far as I understand, the release will be ready well before then. We just want to give enough time for people to actually upgrade the nodes, and also get the SIP PR done. So the numbers are really just for the SIP PR.
Okay, well, yeah, if I have any further comments or thoughts, I'll go ahead and take it to the GitHub. No problem.
I would say let's start the discussion in the Stacks Core Dev channel first. Because if there's consensus amongst everyone that, hey, 500 blocks is a much better target, then we can just put that into the SIP and work it that way. I think let's start in
Okay.
Discord, and I'll just hold my PR for a little bit until we know for certain.
Yeah, and if you want to throw it up, that is an easy number to adjust afterward, just so we can, if there's any way. I don't want to delay anything, but I did want to have the thoughts. So Stacks Core Dev sounds like the perfect place to bring that up.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Feel free to jump in. Okay. What about you give us a, I don't know if we should be talking about it right now. Is it good or bad? Should we not talk about it, or should we let people know at least sort of a bit of preview what's coming down? JYD, I'll leave that to you about the super tight thing.
I mean, only what is in, I think, SIP 23. There may be another SIP addressing some more cases around it. But we'll wait until that SIP is drafted before we talk about it further.
And it's another emergency one that require various stakeholders to approve it, right?
That is my understanding, but I don't want to comment too much until we actually see the SIP draft.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I know,
I
they're working on it today. Hopefully there will be a draft PR by end of today.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Cool. Yeah, that's really mainly it. Yeah, just sort of a reminder that all the SIPs go through the SIP editors committee. We discuss them and we help the SIP to be drafted. More on the community SIPs ones. But yeah, they do, even the code devs SIPs do still need official eyes from the SIP editors, and also the all SIPs will go through consensus breaking one, so need to go through the CAPS review. So just to remind people that these SIPs do have people actively looking at them, commenting them, really helping the community to vet them, and just make sure everything is done as correctly as possible. And finally, we do have the steering committee as well. So yeah, I just want to quickly open up the floor before we close it. So if anybody got anything they want to talk about, SIP related or governance related or anything, or any new ideas you want to share, please just open your All right, all right. I do have very one minor point. Yesterday, the Asigna Vlad came on Asigna team who came to talk about the smart contract wallet last week on the SIP call. He also came on joined SIP editor call yesterday, and we basically agreed that because they are quite new to the ecosystem, the SIP editors would act as a sort of facilitator or support to help reach out to the stakeholders to get the input or feedback that they need in order to design their solutions. If anybody got any thoughts about that, but that's what we sort of came to a conclusion of, like the SIP editors would also act as a sort of vehicle to try and help these new guys because they don't have the reach of the network, and we are trying to make the SIP process and the SIP idea generation and collaboration as easy as possible. Yeah, so that's one minor comment that we came to conclusion.
Hero, can you remind us where people can take a look at their work if they want any early feedback or early review from the
Yeah, I will put a note in the Twitter thread today, the summary note of today. I'll remind people where to go for comments on their stuff. I think they submitted a PR even into the core blockchain space. I think they dropped a link in Stacks Core Dev too. But yeah, I'll dig them out and share with everybody. Okay.
Hi, excuse me. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Yes. So I love what the Stacks community is doing and what you guys are working on and building. I do have a quick question about the transaction times. I'm not sure if this is the right forum to do so, but I just wanted to kind of throw it out there, and maybe you can direct me to the person or the group that I can ask this question. But with the given transaction times of 10 to 30 minutes on the Stacks chain, I was just wondering if there's any kind of if you can shine a light on that bottleneck at this point in time. I know that it's kind of I know it's kind of new, and I know that this is being built on the BTC layer. It's just that that might be a bit of a deterrent for growth in the short term. And please correct me if I'm wrong on anything I said. Thanks.
Yeah, I can chime in a little bit on that one. So when you're looking at the Stacks network right now, the way finality works is every Stacks block is hashed and stored in a Bitcoin block. So that one-to-one timing really just represents moving at the speed of Bitcoin. There is the development of microblocks, which were sort of a way for early confirmation that something will be assembled and mined. But what you're really asking about is the upcoming, what's called the Nakamoto release. Exactly. So if you look for that on the Stacks forum, or there's a little bit, I believe, in the GitHub as well, or ask around in I think there's a Stacks Core Devs general that would be better for the discussion. But the idea there was to introduce a mining mechanism where more than one Stacks block can be produced in between Bitcoin blocks. And we'll see a change in throughput at that point. But currently, it's just because of the design and how it works with each anchoring to each Bitcoin block.
That's a perfect answer I was looking for. Thank you so much.
I do also want to add that Hero's been working on something called subnets, which would also increase transaction times as well, from my understanding.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so subnets is on layer 2, and the Nakamoto release is directly sort of helping sort of doing onto layer 1. And I've dropped a link in the chat where you can learn more about the Nakamoto release. But to summarize, I think basically the Nakamoto release is sort of, I think at least now is sort of Q4-ish, Q3, Q4. So yeah, stay up to date with the Stacks development, follow the Stacks account, follow Stacks like the Stacks Foundation account, you will also get like good updates on the timing of that. For subnets, I would advise you to go and follow Hero Systems Twitter account, because Hero is the company that actually works on the development of subnets. So Stacks is made of many different entities contributing to all kinds of base layer protocols or layer 2 infrastructure stuff. So yeah, hopefully that helps.
I have also added in a link to the subnet docs, APS. So if you want to take a look at that, and then if you have questions, please jump in Discord and start asking us there. There are a lot
Great.
of people that would be happy to help you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Are you more of a developer or a user?
I'm a user / podcaster, so I just wanted to kind of
cool.
bring this up to that new podcast that I'm working on.
Oh, cool. Amazing. Yeah, do share the podcast. If you need resources, just tag me in Stacks Discord. You should see my name sometimes on Stacks Discord. And if you need more resources, just let me know.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Yeah. Have a good day and weekend.
Thanks, y'all. Bye-bye.
All right, take care,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.